Welcome to Top 5 Niches of the Week, the original print-on-demand niches show. It's episode 270. And of course, I've got 5 print-on-demand niches for you to target to increase your sales. So let's get right to it. Here are the top 10 best sellers on Amazon merch t-shirts. And I tried to filter out the protected brands. So you've got basically a lot of Evergreens, which is a little bit indicative of today's episode, a little foreshadowing. You've got an axolotl shirt. You've got a couple cat shirts. You've got a back-to-school shirt. Okay, that makes sense. You have a baseball shirt, a Raven shirt, another cat shirt eating some ramen noodles. You got a shirt that says "Let's Go Bananas" and it's in the baseball niche. And then behind me, you got Penguins of the World. All right, moving on to niche number 1. Hulk Hogan. Wait a second, this can't be right. Why would niche number 1 be related to Hulk Hogan? No, I'm kidding. I noticed there were some Hulk Hogan themed shirts. There's a lot of reasons not to sell. Number 1, public figure. Number 2, passed away. Number 3, almost assuredly, probably has, trademarks on his name. Yeah, do not sell anything related to Hulk Hogan, Hulkmania. The word brother right now might automatically get sent to review, so I'd be careful there as well. Yeah, I would just stay away from that. Niche number 1, all right, a little bit less exciting, but how could it not be back to school? We're less than a month away from most people going back to school, if not a few weeks. I think locally we go back to school around the 20th of August. And I think we go back a week later than most of the country. So from what I've heard in the past. So back to school is going to be dominant. So I'm going to roll all the back to school stuff into niche number 1. So and again, I'm thinking through the lens of what I optimize my SEO, my search engine optimization around. Because when you first upload a product, you need to really have your keywords in mind and tailor your design to those keywords. As in, the people that type those keywords into the search bar are looking for something along the lines of what you're selling in terms of the product and the design. In the case of this, top 5 niches of the week, I'm pretty much assuming you're selling t-shirts, and we look at it through the lens of on Amazon, but it would work on Etsy as well. Anyways, back to school, very broad keywords. It's going to be hard to crack that as a niche. How about first grade though? So when you type in back to school shirt, it's every grade, every age, every school. It's students, it's teachers, it's very broad. If you type in first grade shirt when you're doing your research, and then when you're creating designs and uploading and optimizing around certain keywords, it's a lot more refined. Okay. It's going to be a lot easier to make a sale is basically what I'm saying for first grade shirt than it is going to be for back to school shirt. So here's a couple first grade shirt examples. I'm ready to crush first grade with the monster truck. First grade dude with glasses, ready to crush first grade again. And first grade on the right. Interesting. How about second grade? That looks more like a second grade shirt for girls, if I had to say. A pencil with a ribbon on it. Bruh, I'm in second grade doing the dab. Second grade level unlocked for the gamers. Second grade level unlocked again for the gamers. And then I'm ready to crush second grade with a dinosaur. How about third grade? All right, and I capped it at 3, by the way. Hello, third grade with kind of neon light pastel colors. Third grade dream team. Third grade crew. Third grade vibes. Honestly, third grade, just reading this slide reminded me, the hardest teacher I ever had in any grade for any school was in third grade, which was awesome because when I got to fourth grade, it was they messed up and they put me and my best friends all in the same class, and it was just mayhem. But I think I basically knew everything I needed to know in fourth grade because of how hard the third grade teacher was on us. Shout out to elementary school, man. That was a long time ago at this point. Good times. All right, we're still on niche number 1. We're still in back to school. How about back to school for teachers, right? There's a whole bunch of angles to sell back to school. For teachers is just a long tail keyword. But when you add that for teachers aspect, you need to translate that into how you approach your design, because broad back to school shirt is one thing, but that's something that you just kind of get over time as Amazon measures things like your conversion rate and other metrics, your sales velocity, etc. And they'll start to rank you on broader search terms over time if you're performing at the level that the other shirts are. If you're uploading a new shirt, you need to refine the scope of who you are trying to appeal to. So back to school shirt for teachers is a nice 5 keyword, long tail set of keywords. Here's some examples of bestsellers. Welcome back to school. Happy first day of school. Welcome back. The back to school tour. Bruh, we back. The next one says, bruh, we back. And the last one says, welcome back to school. Bruh, we back. Signed, teachers. All right, niche number 2, moving on. No more back to school, by the way. But and I know if you're not looking forward to back to school, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a student, I don't know, then sorry to go there already, but it is what it is. Niche number 2, how about on the back of talking about school, how about future job? Like we talked a lot about elementary school. How about people that are going to college or maybe specialty school for their future careers? So this is just indicative of it's meant to be indicative of like any future career, but I use doctor as an example. Future doctor. Nice to meet you. I may be your doctor someday. Future doctor. One day closer to the white coat and saving lives. And there's also a bunch, like you could say future doctor / med school, medical school, right? Like go beyond just what you see at face value. Think about it for an extra 10, 15 seconds. Oh yeah, doctors go to ... med school. That would be a good search term to optimize around. And again, a future job. Here's lawyers, Think about it in the sense of if you're a future, gas station attendant, you may or may not buy a t-shirt for that, right? But if you're a future lawyer and you have to go, or doctor, you're going $100,000 in debt, presumably, and spending years of your life, you're going to be more likely to either buy a t-shirt and wear it for yourself or somebody will gift you a t-shirt, right? So I'm thinking along those lines. I think you're more likely to see those shirts sell, and you don't even need to take me at my word. If you use the Merch Dominator Chrome extension or web app, you can search and you will see the data below the shirts in search results. That bestseller rank, or BSR for short, is telling you how well the product has been selling recently. It's an indicator, a relative measure of how well it's selling relative to other t-shirts on Amazon. Moving on, niche number 3. Oh, before we get to niche number 3, take advantage of my free print-on-demand mini course linked below and my print-on-demand Facebook group. It's got over like 40,000 people in it now. Linked below. Great place to network with other sellers. Niche number 3. How about just general evergreen job-related shirts? Because again, we talked about back to school. We looked at it mainly through the lens. When you type in back to school on Amazon, it was what we saw. The best sellers are typically elementary school, and then maybe middle school and then maybe high school. But then you think about it. People are going back to school for specialty, jobs, careers, etc. We talked about that. Well, what about just in general job shirts? Because whether or not people are going back to school, or maybe they went to summer school, they just graduated, or maybe they graduated last spring in the spring semester and now they're finally getting a job and they might be looking at job-related shirts. In my mind, it made sense because right now we're kind of starved for the big obvious trends. And you can go back to previous episodes of Top 5 Niches of the Week. Like last week, we talked about fantasy football is a big niche coming down the pipeline. So I don't need to talk about that again today. We talked about Dot Day coming in September. Okay, we're done with those because we just talked about them. So how about we're talking about back to school and related things? Why do you go to school, right? To get a job, most people would say. So job-related t-shirts. And I, in this case, I'm looking at the lens of lawyers. A lot of jobs have funny t-shirts related to that profession. Like a lawyer shirt. You can sell a shirt that just says, quote, allegedly, or another shirt that says, I'm billing you for this conversation. Probably billing like what, $400 an hour? Can't lie. I might be a little bit jealous about that. Lawyer, noun, someone who solves a problem you didn't know you had in a way you don't understand. And then you should amend that with, while simultaneously billing you $400 an hour. Next one, in my lawyer era, the era shirts, I don't know. I never sold any of those. I was always too, worried that one day Amazon, Etsy, etc. would just be like, no more era shirts. Boom. Send lawyers, guns, and money. Okay, so there's some funny ones. By the way, me just trying to do you guys a solid, even though you probably didn't need to hear this from me at this point. It is 2025, but in case you're somehow still not using AI to benefit you or your online businesses, you could go to ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure for free. You could upgrade, but you could also do the free version, I'm pretty sure, and this would work. Say, write me a list of the 20 most common professions in the United States, because again, we're selling US market predominantly, that require a college degree. In about 10 seconds, I've got the top 20 professions that require a college degree in the United States. To me, again, because we're looking at mainly US market, even though you can still sell these worldwide on the other international Amazon markets, but the US market being the biggest one, so it makes sense to optimize for. And then I said that require a college degree for the reasons I mentioned before, that you're more likely, in my mind, to either buy the shirt and wear it yourself or to be gifted the shirt if you went, a little bit above and beyond in the sense of your investment, right? In investing time and money if you went to college for the job. This is not me trying to say that if you went to college, you're better than anybody else. I mean, these days, I don't even know if I would say that at all. But, and having been a college teacher for 7.5 years, I mean, I feel like I could say that. I got my master's, I got my bachelor's, I did it all. All right, I'm going to shut up. Niche number 4. My favorite job calls me mom, or my favorite job calls me dad, right? We're, again, piggybacking off of people entering the workforce, okay, or potentially going to school, like I said, because back to school, trendy right now. It's only going to pick up for the next month in terms of search interest. My favorite soldier calls me mom. My favorite doctor calls me mom. And, you know, do one for mom, do one for dad. You could do something like this. I love this as an example. Actually, both. Because, well, you could do clipping masks, essentially. And just masking in general, depending on what app you're in. They might call it different things. But, like, if you're doing my favorite doctor calls me mom, you do a clipping mask of, like, a more floral, feminine pattern for the mom. And then you could do something else for the dad. Or if you're doing, like, a soldier, I would not do the Army logo, by the way, like they did. But you could do, like, a camo pattern, right? That would make a lot of sense. My favorite musician calls me mom. My favorite football player. My favorite air traffic controller. Like, it just goes on and on and on. There's, you know, again, you could use ChatGPT. You could use Wikipedia. You could make a list of the most common professions and then optimize around those. Moving on to niche number 5. Okay, now this is just a random, very broad evergreen suggestion, but I break for ... I break for garage sales. This first shirt actually has a bunch. It says, I break for garage sales, estate sales, yard sales, rummage sales. I've never heard of that. Flea markets, antique stores, thrift shops, auctions, and occasionally ... weird stuff on the curb. All right, that's funny. I break for flea markets, garage sales, estate sales, thrift shops, and weird stuff on curbs. I used to, so in like Northern Virginia, you know, depending on where you live, like if you're up in like the nicer areas, you'll literally see estate sale signs and they'll just say like Rolexes, Lamborghinis, like the craziest stuff. So you probably wouldn't just randomly break for those unless you had a, you know, brick of cash in your car at all times or something. Anyways, so you can see I break for turtles. 3 5-star reviews. I break for garage sales. Apparently that's more popular than I ever knew. I always think more along the lines of like, I break for animals. You sell it on a t-shirt, you sell it on a mug, you sell it on a bumper sticker, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then you move on. And again, you can use applications like Illustrator, you could use Canva automation, you could use, what I'm saying is you could use automation and crank out 100 of these designs and have ChatGPT write you the list of what you're breaking for. You know what I mean? And keep it super simple, super streamlined. If, you know, anybody's ever been in my coaching sessions, you know that I believe you start with the simple mass appeal, broad appeal designs, which typically means text only. And then you can get more complicated and add a graphic of a turtle, right? Which is going to take you more time. It's a manual process. It's not really necessary, in my opinion, but it's okay to do. But at a minimum, start with the text-based version. You guys know most of my designs that I sell are text-based. Okay. And that still hasn't changed to today, but also a lot of it just has to do with efficiency too, right? But I mean, yeah, anyways, you've heard me say this before most likely, but a text-based shirt has mass appeal. When you add a graphic, people may or may not like the graphic. They may or may not like the colors, etc. So do that secondary. More I break for. Yeah, garage sales, yard sales, thrift sales, turtles, and then all gas, no brakes, which I have a feeling could be trademarked because I know there was a popular like YouTube channel with that name, I think. Yeah, I break for turtles. I'm a Jake break. I don't even know what that is. I break for bacon. Love that. Anyways, you can break for a lot of things, guys. And here's the thing. You don't even really need to research a niche like this. They're just evergreens that could sit there. They could sell once a year. You know, they're perfect for like Amazon Seller Central where you don't pay per listing. If you're on Etsy, you might want to just enable personalization and do a text-based version of this. If you're on Amazon, you can use automation to create your designs, scale them out, upload them. They sit there forever. If they sell once a year and you make $5 profit, in my mind, that's perfect. Because some of them are going to sell 0 times. Some of them are going to sell multiple times. But they're like evergreens are the backbone of my business. And I would recommend the same for you if you ever want to get off the hamster wheel of constantly chasing trends. All right, emerging trends. Speaking of trends, these are all outperforming with their current BSR, their 90-day average BSR. So these could be coming trends. They could just be evergreens. No promises because we got some Easter stuff, some July 4th, some back to school. Heck, there's even a few Thanksgiving shirts down there. All right, looking ahead, these are smaller niches, at least a month out. August 27th, International Lottery Day. August 29th, Chinese Valentine's Day. August 30th, National Beach Day. August 31st, National Trail Mix Day. September 1st, Labor Day. All right, and now let's look at the archive. Looking back in time 23 months ago, because last year was a political year. And these were what we're trending. It looks like a lot of college and just location sports combinations, which is not recommended. Amazon, I think, basically said no more of that. So ignore the location sport themed shirts. You've got the This Is Boo Sheet Halloween shirt, which has been the #1 bestseller for Halloween for I think the last 2 years at least. You got the pickle shirt. You got the I'm Not Old, I'm Classic shirt. Basically just a lot of Evergreens, guys, which is why this episode was basically dedicated to Evergreens. All right, let's look at removed designs. All of these were removed either by the uploader or by Amazon in the last 24 hours. Take a quick peek. If you recognize any of these niches that you're currently selling in, perhaps maybe look a little bit deeper, see if you should potentially be deleting them. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I have a full print-on-demand course that'll handhold you step-by-step through every little nuanced decision. And I don't just tell you exactly what to do. I also explain the nuance in the decision-making process. That's more my style. I like to say, hey, you could do it this way, but time is money. And if you spend your time doing that instead of this, you'll probably make less money. That's my style, guys. If you think that might help you out, it is linked in the description. If you have any questions, you can always just email me or comment below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you soon with another new video.